and welcome back to Bookish Theories. Today I lose my breath breaking down Stray Kids' mermaid concept for their English debut. Also my apologies, but today you can probably hear the birds chirping outside of my window. It's spring, they're very much in love, they want everybody to know this, so please be understanding. And speaking of love, Lose My Breath is actually a track that expresses the overwhelming emotions of a person that, much like my birds, falls in love at first sight. As soon as their eyes lock with the other person, Stray Kids experience a wave of side effects that puts them in shock. They drop on their knees, they lose their breath, their heart stops, and as their world turns upside down, they understand that there's no going back to the life they used to live before falling in love. Now, to portray this life-changing experience, Stray Kids opted for a concept inspired by The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen, which is also the story that inspired the Disney animation all of us grew up with. The original story is a lot more brutal than the Disney version, but Stray Kids also confirmed that their adaptation has its own unique twist to it. Lose My Breath portrays a mermaid story inspired by The Little Mermaid, but also adjusted to fit their own style and originality. In this version of events, Stray Kids become mermen who sacrifice their own breath to get a new life on land and pursue the subject of their affection. Back in the trailer, Felix introduced this concept with a direct reference to Hans Christian Andersen. Like in the original story, the narration tells us that mermaids live for 300 years. They have a very long life, but they don't have souls, so when they die they turn into sea foam. In contrast, humans have a much shorter physical life, but they have souls that continue to exist forever. In Andersen's story, one of the only ways for a mermaid to get a soul is to get a human to fall in love with them, so when Ariel makes the pact with the witch, her goal is not only to marry the prince, but also to get a soul in the process. In Stray Kids' version, the goal seems to be the same, because Felix's narration focuses a lot on the beauty and complexity of the human soul. In the video, the soul is described as being as azure as the petals of cornflower and as pristine as crystal clear glass. The soul, however, is also very profound, and beneath its surface, one's memories ripple like waves into the depths. Now, this beautiful description of the soul is actually very interesting, because Stray Kids use the same words that Andersen used to describe the sea back in The Little Mermaid. That story begins by saying that far out in the ocean, water is as blue as the prettiest cornflower, as clear as crystal, but also much deeper than one can fathom. At the bottom of the sea king dwells with all of his subjects, and this is the home kingdom of The Little Mermaid. Now, if we compare the trailer with the original story, we can see that Stray Kids not only draw a parallel between the human soul and the ocean, but they also place memories in the depths of the soul, the same way Andersen puts the kingdom of the sea at the bottom of the ocean. This is especially touching if you consider that, in order to become human, these mermen abandon the sea never to come back again. The moment they give away their breath to gain new life, the only way to access the kingdom in the depths of the ocean is through the memories stored in the depths of their soul. In the narration, moreover, we discover that this merman takes this decision when a festival of lights dances upon the reflection of the waves, and this too is a reference to the original story. When Ariel swims up to the surface for the first time, she sees fireworks coming from the ship of the prince that she falls in love with. This first experience is what eventually leads her to exchange her voice for a pair of legs, and in the same way, after seeing this festival of lights, Stray Kids choose to lose their breath to gain new life on land. Much like in the original story, we see that the characters end up suffering a lot because of this decision. Stray Kids have lost their breath for love, so even if they're human, they cannot breathe anyway. They are literally like a fish out of water, so in order to survive, they have to be close to the water even if they are no longer allowed to go back to it. We see them drinking a lot, ingesting pearls, carrying sea creatures along with them, but nothing seems to quench their thirst and release them from this pain. Even if they eat, human food doesn't seem to satisfy them, and the only time they feel relief is when they are surrounded by water one way or the other. They feel better when it rains, they can breathe underwater, but nothing can ever make them feel better on dry land. Yet when they see the fireworks in the sky, all of them starts chasing this festival of lights, because much like in the original story, the fireworks can be seen as a symbol of the love they give up everything for. Even if they lost their breath and they're suffering on land, nothing will stop them from achieving their goal and fulfilling their dream of love. So throughout the video, the members try their best to reach the source of these lights. At the end, however, the video concludes in a very ambiguous way. Not only there's no trace of the loved one they sacrificed themselves for, but the sea that was there in the past is now a yellow desert. I think this epilogue here might actually be connected to the final part of Felix's narration. At the end of the trailer, he says that perhaps there may be no going back, and when asking whether this has been land or sea, Felix concludes by saying that it doesn't matter anyway. Now, to me, this means that the focus of this adaptation is not so much on the person they love or the soul they want, but rather on the lengths they're willing to go in order to fulfill their goal. No matter the outcome, Stray Kids can never go back to the sea after losing their breath. They gained a new life because of that, so So whether the sea stays sea or turns into land, it no longer matters because they already made their choice. This is how I see it at least, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, however, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.